Hey Mama, welcome to the podcast. Today we are going to talk about one of my favorite subjects, and that is marriages. And marriages can be very hard. They can be very beautiful. They are a sacred place to learn to trust, to love, to get through hard seasons, and to include God in the journey. And I hope that as you listen, you will implement some of the things you hear for more love and joy in your marriage. Hi, I'm Jocelyn, fellow mom of 5 and host of the Positivity in Pregnancy and Motherhood podcast. I help pregnant women and mothers to find the positivity in their season of life through changing their thoughts to work for them and not against them. I help mothers find the small, doable steps in thought and action without making drastic changes to their everyday mom life. And I can help you. Let's find positivity during our pregnancies and in our motherhood together. Thanks for joining. So I want to get into, there's like 2 parts in my mind to this podcast. There's one part that's going to talk about differences and disagreements and how we handle those and think about those in relation to communicating with our husband. And then the second fold of this episode is going to be 3 reasons to stay married and stay in love. So it's kind of twofold, but nonetheless, it's talking a lot about marriage, and I have wanted to do this episode for a while. I've been really excited to get to it in the podcast. I've done several messages on marriage in the past, a couple on intimacy if that's your struggle. We won't really talk about that today, but I will try and put some of those in the show notes for you so you can listen if marriage is an area that you would like to improve in a little. So we've been following along with that book my church put out called Emotional Resilience, Finding Strength in the Lord. And that download is for free in the show notes if you would like to go through the book. I'm going to read this from the book right now. Disagreements and differences with others are a natural part of relationships. This can happen because of differences in values, opinions, perceptions, motivations, desires, and ideas. Learning to address these differences in a healthy way can help strengthen your relationship with others and help you develop empathy and patience. Healthy conflict resolution is likely to occur when individuals feel safe and valued. Though differences are normal, they do not have to lead to contention. It is contention during a conflict that causes a problem. When personal differences occur, you may have difficulty clearly communicating your side without escalating the conflict. Using I messages can help you state your concern, feelings, and needs in a manner that is easier for the listener to hear and understand. So when we say I message, I'm not meaning like an iPhone message. They're statements focused using like referring to yourself. I. An I message focuses on your own feelings and experiences rather than your perspective of what the other person has done or failed to do. The first part of an I message identifies and expresses your own feelings, which is critical in addressing conflict or disagreement. It helps to lessen defensive feelings and makes it easier to listen to one another. So we're going to go through a couple of examples with these, and I've learned that this is not easy. It is a developed and practiced thing to get better at these I statements. Initially, we want to accuse and we want to blame them, especially if there's a conflict or a disagreement. But it doesn't really help, and it's not really going to get your point across, and it can be degrading to the other person. So here's a couple examples. An example of a you message could be, you never listen to anyone, and you're not really listening to me now. So that's an example of a you message. Now to shift that to an I message, but trying to get the same point across could be, I feel discouraged when I don't think I am understood. Keeping eye contact helps me feel like you care. The next one, you are so inconsiderate and thoughtless for missing dinner and not calling. That's a you message. The I message reverse could be, I feel neglected when you miss dinner without calling. I also feel worried that something may have happened to you. So you're still trying to get the same point across, but you're rephrasing it in a way that doesn't blame. It takes the blame away from you, putting it on them and telling them how you feel, because that's really all you know is how you feel. You have perceptions of how they might feel, but you may not know if that is really how they feel. This also is a good thing to do with children. Not easy though. It does take some intentionality, some deliberation, and definitely practice. But I have noticed that it is a more powerful way to handle the conflicts. So that's kind of the first part of the podcast I wanted to get to. Okay, now that we know how to communicate a little better with the I statements, I want to talk about choosing love again. 3 reasons to stay married and to stay in love. I want to speak to the wives, to the women who may feel tired, may feel discouraged, disconnected, or simply worn down by the realities of marriage. Maybe your marriage isn't what you hoped it would be. Maybe the butterflies have seemed to fade. Maybe the communication feels harder than it used to. Or maybe the daily responsibilities of life have crowded out the romance and connection. If that's you, this continued message is for you, because today we are talking about that, but we're also talking about it grounding in God's word and in his design for marriage. I do have to give the disclaimer, this message isn't about enduring abuse, danger, or situations where safety is at risk. So if that's you, this is not for you. This is an encouragement for women who are in ordinary marriages that have encountered ordinary struggles. The kind of struggles that every long-term relationship eventually faces. The first reason is love is more than a feeling, it is a covenant. And I have really liked referring to marriage as a covenant, especially over the past few years. Or the past year, I guess. One of the greatest misunderstandings in our modern culture is a belief that love is primarily an emotion. Feelings matter, attraction matters, romance matters. But according to scripture, love is deeper than emotion. When a husband and wife stand before God and make vows, they enter into a covenant relationship. A covenant is not built on how we feel in a particular season, it is built on faithfulness. And in my church, we enter into that covenant in our holy temples, and it is very sacred and special. In the Bible, God's relationship with his people is often described through covenant language. Even when his people wandered, God remained faithful. Marriage reflects that same faithfulness. In the gospel, we see Christ's unwavering commitment to his church. His love is steadfast. It's sacrificial and enduring. When a wife chooses to love her husband during difficult seasons, she is participating in something profoundly beautiful. She is reflecting a picture of God's covenant love. That doesn't mean pretending everything is perfect. It means that recognizing some of the deepest forms of love emerge not during easy seasons, but during challenging ones. Many couples discover that the love they enjoy after overcoming difficulties is richer, stronger, and more meaningful than love they experienced at the beginning. Love that has been tested often becomes love that can be trusted. And I totally agree with that. Pregnancy has been such a hard season for me. In fact, half of this podcast is devoted to pregnancy and the difficult times that it has brought. And those difficult times haven't just come to me, they've come to my husband. And I really like that last thing I brought up about the love that you enjoy after overcoming difficulties is richer, stronger, and more meaningful. And my husband and I have almost been married for 15 years now. We have 5 kids, and it has become deeper. It has become more meaningful than it was at the beginning. And as you work at it, it can come that way for you too. but it is a choice. I have had to do a lot of work in my marriage. Intimacy was one of the areas, changing my thoughts, changing how I communicate, and I am still working on it. New things come up all the time in parenting, in life, that challenge me to try and do better. But also sometimes I fail and I have to keep retrying and say I'm sorry and start over. Okay, reason number 2. And if I'm talking funny, my neck is hurting so bad today. And it's like, I feel like it's affecting my vocal cords. I apologize for that. Okay, reason number 2, though, is God uses marriages to shape us, or God uses our marriage to shape us into Christ's image. The second reason to stay married and to choose love is that God often uses marriages as one of his greatest tools for spiritual growth. Most of us enter into a marriage believing that we found the right person. But then marriage begins revealing things about us that we didn't know were there. We didn't realize our impatience. We didn't realize our pride, our selfishness, our tendency to keep score, our desire to always be right. Marriage has a unique way of exposing areas where God still wants to work in our hearts. It can be very uncomfortable, but it's actually a gift. The Apostle Paul teaches that God is continually shaping believers to become more like Christ. Sometimes he does it through our scripture reading. Sometimes he does it through prayer, and often through relationships. A husband may not be perfect. In fact, he certainly isn't, but neither are we. When we choose forgiveness over resentment, grace over criticism, and encouragement over contempt, we can become more like Jesus. Christian marriages are not simply about finding happiness, it's also about growing in holiness. And yes, it should be happy. It can be happy. There are going to be difficult seasons, but you can find the happiness and choose it. Many wives can look back after years of marriage and say, God used this relationship to teach me patience, humility, compassion, and perseverance in ways nothing else could. What if some of the very challenges that you're facing today are opportunities for God to deepen your character and to strengthen your faith? That perspective can transform how we see these difficult seasons we go through. Reason number 3, your love has the power to build a legacy. I love this. The third reason to choose love is that your marriage matters beyond the two of you. Strong marriages create ripples that extend through families, they extend through communities, and through the future generations. Whether you have children or not, people are watching, friends are watching, family members are watching, the next generation is watching. When a wife consistently chooses kindness, respect, encouragement, and commitment, she helps create an environment where that love can flourish. And as Christian women, that's what we want. In Proverbs, it speaks about the wisdom and strength and the influence of a godly woman. A wife's words can bring life. Her encouragement can strengthen her husband, and her faith can strengthen those around her. This doesn't mean in carrying the entire burden of marriage by yourself. Marriage definitely does require effort from both spouses. But it does mean recognizing the incredible influence God has entrusted to you. Imagine the testimony of marriage that endured difficult seasons and emerged stronger. Imagine being able to say years from now, there were moments when quitting seemed easier, but God's grace carried us through. That kind of legacy is powerful. And often, the marriages people admire the most are not marriages that avoided hardship. They are marriages that remained faithful through the hardship. Before we close, I want to offer a few simple challenges and some encouragement for you in your marriage. First, I want you to pray for your husband. Not just about him, but pray for him. Pray for his spiritual growth. Pray for his responsibilities, his struggles, and for his relationship with God. Second, and I am a huge fan of this because I talk about it all the time on my podcast, and that is gratitude. Look for something that you genuinely appreciate about him every day. It's kind of like you can focus on the things you don't do or the things you do. It works for your husband too. You can focus on the things he doesn't do or the things that he does do. Gratitude really has a way of changing our perspective for the better. And as you do this over time, it multiplies. Like if you keep a gratitude journal, I do, and I highly encourage you to, start writing reasons you're grateful for your husband in your gratitude journal. The third thing that I want to encourage is to remember who he is becoming and not just who he is today. God is still working in him, just as God is working in you. And finally, ask God to renew your love. Sometimes you need to be a little spontaneous. Sometimes you need to ask people around you to help with your children so you can go on a date. Sometimes you need to listen late at night when he is wanting to talk and you're wanting to sleep. You just need to push the sleep aside and listen. Remember, the Lord can help us restore affection, rebuild trust, and deepen friendship and strengthen our commitment. Nothing is impossible for him. Mama, if your marriage feels ordinary today, don't underestimate the beauty of ordinary faithfulness. If your marriage feels difficult today, don't underestimate the power of God's grace. And if your love feels small today, remember that love grows where it is intentionally nurtured, just like plants. Marriage was God's idea. Faithfulness honors him. Grace reflects him. And enduring love points others towards him. As I close, I want to ask that God strengthen your heart, bless your marriage, and deepen your friendship with your husband, and remind you that every act of love offered in faith is seen by him. Mama, thanks for listening today. Thank you for sharing this episode for fellow moms who may be struggling in their marriage or even just want to improve it. Keep choosing faith, choosing hope, and choosing love. We will chat again next time. Thank you for being a part of the Positivity in Pregnancy and Motherhood podcast, for listening, for sharing, and most of all, for applying these tools into your own life to improve your own happiness so that you can find your own better thoughts and becoming the mother that you desire to be through taking small steps in thought and action to reach your goals. If you are a mother who has an inner desire to enjoy motherhood and pregnancy better, but you are having difficulty figuring it out, I can help you. Thanks for joining. Reach out, let's connect, and let's see you move forward in your motherhood. My name is Jocelyn, and I thank you for listening. Until next time. If you want to chat with me about your marriage or how you are striving to be a better mother, learning in pregnancy, whatever it be, my inbox is open. Send me a message or an email at positivityandpregnancy@gmail.com, and I'd love to chat, to encourage each other in this endeavor. This episode, I did use AI to help me with some of the points, and I want to know what you think about AI. So while you're writing me that email, share with me what you think about AI. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Does it bother you when people use it? Are you totally fine with it? What is your perspective? Let me know what you think. I do try at the end of the episodes to share if I used AI in the episode. I do like that transparency. And so if there is more after the end credit notes, it's usually mentioning if I did use AI or not. So this episode I did and wanted to let you know, and I also want to know what you think about it. positivityandpregnancy@gmail.com, or if you want to check out my website, it's positivityandpregnancy.com. We will chat again next week.